why are you running for mayor? You answered that, but in more detail.
Yeah, great question. In fact, why don't I go ahead and just start recording since we're
Yeah, start recording. Recording. I just sent a text to several people saying you got to come on. If I can get at least a few more people on. Um, so while you're doing your introduction, and I'll start out, I'll think of some questions. Do your introduction. Do your whatever 10 minutes. I'm going to go on off screen. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll keep you. I'll when you come back, I'll pin you. So, yeah. So, appreciate everyone here giving me the opportunity to say hi and introduce myself. My name's Andrej Selivra. I was born and raised here in Los Angeles. This is my home. I was saying I love this city with all my heart. Truly, I've been to 55, 58 different countries around the world. I've lived in China for a little while, lived in Moscow, Russia for a little while, spent a lot of time in Europe and Mexico. And I will always come back to Los Angeles. This is the place that I know that I belong. It's the place that I love, and it's the place that I would truly like fight. And if it came to, I would die for LA. I mean that, if it really came to it, I would, I'd be willing to fight hard for this city. Anyway, and the reason I'm here is really truly because of the sacrifice that my grandfather made back in the 1950s. My grandfather was born in Soviet Ukraine, and his family unfortunately was murdered by the Bolsheviks, who took the Ukrainians' land, and they killed the landowners for their land so they wouldn't revolt. And he always knew that he needed to leave. He always knew that there wasn't a future there for him. So he, in the 1950s, after serving in World War II, scrimping and saving every penny that he could, he made his way to Los Angeles with my grandmother and my aunt and my father. And they landed in the Russian Armenian Hollywood community right off of Fountain in Normandy, where, they lived, till my grandma died. And so I grew up kind of having like a second generation, immigrant experience, lived in apartments my whole life, had, family struggles like a lot of immigrants do. Unfortunately, we had some drug addiction and substance abuse issues in my family, which made some things difficult. I actually was in foster care for a little while, for about a year and a half, from the time I was 8 till I was like 9. Lived with my grandparents for a little while, lived with my aunt and uncles for a little while. But I always felt privileged to be here in LA, truly, to be in California. Look at how incredible this city is. And it is that way because of the hard work and all the sacrifices that everyone here has made to make this city the way it is. People have literally, every different culture, every different corner of the earth have come here to make our city beautiful and to, create the culture and the talent and the diversity of thought and the just incredible, opportunities that we have here. Truly, it's a blessing. I've always recognized that I'm really privileged to live here and grow up here. So anyway, as a teenager, we struggled. I was out on my own at 17, and I ended up kind of being homeless as a teenager. I was sleeping out of my car for about a year and some change while I was figuring things out. I went to community college though, enrolled in community college, got some Pell Grants, got myself into an apartment, worked really hard, and pushed myself, got into a few different colleges, some really good schools on the East Coast that I was considering going to, but I also got into UCLA. And Berkeley, and I decided I wanted to be where my home was. So I chose UCLA, and I transferred to UCLA, and I don't regret it, not for a second. I had an incredible education there. I met incredible people, had great mentors, got to enjoy the city, the campus, really felt privileged to go to UCLA. And since then I've continued working. I've just always hustled, always, it's been tough because I grew up through the, '08 financial crisis. That was 2009 and 2010 was when I graduated. There were no jobs. I had to wait tables. So I have a lot of experience in hospitality and waiting tables, but truly, actually, I never really hated waiting tables. And I think part of that is that I genuinely like to serve people. Truly, if I have friends and family over, I love to host, and I love to cook for people, and I love to help them. And if people need help with something, I love to get in there and roll up my sleeves and help them out. Or if they're struggling on something, that I can help out technology, I love to build them something or give them some way to, and that's something that I really like to do. I'm good at it.
I guarantee you the three main opponents of yours have never waited tables.
I mean, you know, if you're here, like if you're going to be working for the city, your highest priority is to serve people. Truly, it's a servant position. Like you don't go there to serve yourself. Like that doesn't help anyone. That's, you know, you want to do that, go into private industry. The city hall and city government, that's for people who want to serve others. And that's something that I take a lot of pride in. I like to do it. I think I'm good at it. I do my best. I try to help and work with people. And you know, I have some experience also doing it at big companies. So big companies hire, I'm a systems engineer now by trade. For the last 15 years, I've been working building technology systems, automations, processes, warehouse management systems, inventory control, you know, ERP systems as enterprise resource planning software, you know, workflows for different teams, customer service teams and executive teams, tools for marketing teams and for, you know, everyone down the chain of command, everyone from the warehouse workers. And when there's a warehouse job, I get in there at the warehouse and I'll go and spend, you know, a week working with the warehouse workers, figure out what's their job like and how can I understand their job so that I can provide them with tools and better, you know, better solutions. That's something I'm really good at. I'm a very hands-on kind of person. I think that's important when you're trying to help people is you got to like really understand them, put yourself in their position for a while. And I was looking this year at who was running for mayor. I just turned 40 years old this year in January. And I didn't see too many candidates that I felt comfortable voting for. Truthfully, there were like pretty much none. In fact, there's only one, and he's in the call today. His name's Assoc Al-Najjar, and truly, he's the only person I believe on the entire list of 13 candidates or whatever that I would personally be excited or you know to give my vote to. And I encourage other people. I always tell people if you're not going to vote for me, consider voting for Assad. Ray Huang, I think, is also a good candidate for some people. If she's more your flavor, I can understand. And I can support voting for her. She has a good heart, and I think her heart's in the right place. So, and that's all I want, really. I just want to help our city, you know. And I think I have the right.
Well, I have 4 votes in my house. I have 4 votes in my house. So none of us have voted yet because I. Oh, he's giving you love. Let me do that too.
It's teamwork. Like Andrej said, it's always teamwork. That's why I'm here even to support his campaign, even though, I mean, my turn was yesterday, but it's teamwork.
Yeah, and I apologize for yesterday. I don't know if any of our board members came on yesterday, but I totally apologize. Yesterday was a bad day for me. Mondays are generally bad. But I was on some of the other candidates, and, you know, I mean, it's between us. I would have loved a debate with everybody coming, but we just didn't have the facility to do that. I mean, if everybody brought their supporters, we wouldn't have enough room. So this was the decision to give all the candidates a forum. And honestly, I feel nice that I can talk to both of you and get both of your, but I feel badly that nobody else is on here. And
No, it's his show. It's Andrej's show.
I know.
No, yesterday all your board were there and they hammered me, man.
So we had they hammered you? Oh my God!
Yes.
I'm not gonna hammer anybody.
But it was in a fun way. It was.
Okay.
I enjoyed it very much, and I wish they asked the same question in the debate because the questions were answers I would like to have seen Nithya or Bas answers them.
Well, I gotta
Bas
be
is
honest
still
with
my
you.
boss.
I'm not impressed with. We've had that debate moderator several times, and he does not ask the hard questions that. And maybe that's just his background. Maybe he's just has to ingratiate himself with the candidates, and he doesn't want to do that. But you know, I asked some hard questions that weren't answered. So okay. Well, let's start with the first hard question. How would you not, and I'm not going to say solve the homeless crisis because there is no solution to it. How would you mitigate the homeless on the streets?
Yeah, we're going, so this is a great question. And like I said, you know,
here, I'm going to show you my face again. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that I'm the only mayoral candidate with actual lived experience being homeless. I'm pretty sure that's the case this year. Even though it is more common than people realize. Like sometimes there's a lot of people who have spent time on just couches and whatever, and they're effectively homeless as well. That said, you know, I'm also an engineer. right? By trade. Like I look at problems and I look at solutions, and I think that there is a way to meaningfully put a dent in the homeless situation here in LA. And I think the way that we do it is by copying some other successful countries in the way that they've done it. And so the thing that I'm proposing for Los Angeles is something that we can actually build, is a public dormitory style model, right? So we have medical hospitals for when you break your leg or if you get cancer, if you have a lung condition. We don't have social hospitals, but we should, right? A social hospital is essentially, it's a dormitory, right? It's all the top floors are, you know, either multi or single room occupancy dormitory rooms. Some of them could be 2 to 4 people in a room. You could have some that are open air that are more 10 to 15 people. You can have some that are single room occupancy for like mothers with children or for people with more distress, right? We have different hospital accommodations for people with different conditions. We can have different social hospital, accommodations for people with different conditions. So the social hospital, the public dormitory, is the way that I think that we should do this is the city should buy and administer these buildings, not just hand off billions of dollars to LASA, which is an organization run by Karen Bass's friend, who her daughter works for, that was given a $1.3 billion budget with no oversight, by the way, because they're not a government entity. So they don't have the same types of, reporting requirements as City Hall would. We need to do this in-house, right? Like you identified, Thomas, homelessness is always going to be an issue in a city as large as ours. That's why we need to bring that process in-house. And I know this because, like I said, I'm a systems engineer. If we have a problem that only pops up here and there once in a while, like, a plumbing thing or a small little piece of software, we can outsource that to a different company, to a vendor, because it's something that doesn't make sense for us to build infrastructure around because we're only using a little bit. But for something like homelessness, for something as serious as, like, for instance, our warehouse management systems or any kind of core need for our organization, for for the city of Los Angeles, that should be done in-house, right? We should be doing this with audit controls and checks and balances and systems. And I build these kinds of systems professionally. Like I build like the intake systems and the, ways to like make sure that people were getting their IDs and seeing like, that they're attending their classes, or if they need mental health, like I can create all these systems. I do it professionally. And that's what I think we need to do. Build public dormitories, purchase the building, own the building. The ground floor is all social services. So that's mental health treatment, addiction counseling, jobs training and placement, meal services, medical transport, right? Legal defense and education, right? Community services. And these could be open to the public, right? Even if you're not staying in the dormitory, if you need food stamps, if you need mental health counseling, if you need addiction treatment, anybody from the public could go to one of these dormitories. And because we're treating so many people there together, there will always be full-time staff. Right now, what the city's doing, which is crazy, is they're spending $200,000 to $500,000 to put one person in a box somewhere that's owned by private equity, and we're just hoping that that person gets better on their own. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. The most successful models around the world know that doesn't work. You can't just treat people with concrete and money. We have to treat people with people.
Well, that's Bass's plan, right? The $75,000 units, the up to 200,000, and then Nithya Raman wants vouchers to go to hotels.
Yeah. We do it in-house. We need to keep the long-term costs low, and we need to manage and administer that ourselves.
What do you do about the people that don't want to go into any facility, the ones that don't want to have any kind of help? How do you deal with them?
So here's the thing. We have to obey due process, right? We have to obey due process. That's really important. We don't want to be just like shoving people in places where there wasn't at least some kind of, judge or auditor or somebody who has legal authority to evaluate these people. For those who don't know, luckily, and this is a good thing, California in January of this year, I believe, we passed SB 43. SB 43 established the care courts, and it also passed what's called the LPS. It's the Lanterman Petrus something act, which allows us to, when we think that somebody's gravely disabled, meaning that they're mentally unwell or physically addicted, we can now force them to go in front of a independent mental health professional for evaluation. That mental health professional will give a report back to a district court judge, who will then make the decision as to whether or not that person is suitable to be on their own. If they're mentally well, we can't force them to go into housing. If they're mentally well, we can't force them, but we also can't let them sleep on the streets, right? And here's the thing. One of the reasons why we let people sleep on the streets and why we have to let them legally right now is because the law says you can only ask somebody to not camp in public if you have a bed available for them. but we don't have enough beds, right? We don't have the beds open. So we say, we say, hey, you got to get off the street. And they say, okay, give me a bed. And we say, we don't got one. And they say, okay, well, then I'm allowed to be on the street. And they're right about that. This is why the dormitory model is so important. With the dormitory model, we can build 200 to 600 beds at a time, right? At 50 different locations around the city. We could have 10 up in the East Valley, 10 in the West Valley, 10 near downtown LA, 10 on the West Side, 10 in the South Bay, right? And they could be different styles of dormitories for people of different needs. Some for people with children, some for seniors over 50, some for people 18 to 25 who are just young people strugglers, 16 to 25, some for people, again, with mental health challenges. And just like different hospitals, we can have different dormitories that specialize in different needs, right? This is how we solve this. When you bring people together, you can serve them together. This creates economies of scale, right? That means that it makes sense to have full-time 24-hour mental health professionals, psychiatric services, medical, when you're serving 200 to 500 people at a time, right? And so that's how we move forward on this, is public dormitories, bring the people together, retrofit underused commercial and office spaces throughout the city, have the city buy these underused commercial and office spaces, pay a private developer one time to retrofit them, and then the city owns and administers that property long-term, keeping costs down, specializing in treatment for those who need it.
That's a smart solution. Okay, let me go to my next question that I always ask, which is, and let me give you an example. You live in Palms. I'm sure it's the same in Palms as it is in Van Nuys, as it is in Sherman Oaks. How would you support the small businesses, the restaurants that have invested, the brick and mortars, not even just the homeless in front of those that are keeping it? How would you support restaurants that are being inundated with competition, illegal competition, street vendors, people, and I'm sure you see it in Palms. These guys, they set up a restaurant on our public streets right in front of brick and mortar restaurants. How would you support the small business?
It's a great question. It's a really great question. So, like I said, I worked in hospitality. I worked in restaurants for like 8 years. I know restaurants in particular, they're so important because they employ so many people and they provide a valuable service truly to the public. Like restaurants provide truly an invaluable service. It's a place where you can meet and gather with your friends and your family and your community and enjoy a meal together. And while, supporting local economies and local entrepreneurs, we don't all have time and energy to be able to cook every night. It's good to have places that specialize in this and that they can make food, at a much more economical scale while still creating jobs and economy. We have some problems. We have some real serious problems in LA with small businesses. And I'm going to tell you, I think the biggest problem that we run into with small businesses in Los Angeles is that the rent is too high. The rent is too high, and again, when I say the rent is too high, I don't mean just the commercial rent. I mean also the residential rent, right? And this is a really important thing to consider. We got to start having very serious conversations about this, because I tell people, landlords keep raising the rent, so we have to pay the McDonald's worker more. The reason we got to pay McDonald's workers $20, $22 an hour in LA instead of 14, 12, 14, 14, because you literally can't afford rent here unless you're making that much, right? That's a serious issue. The fact that the rent is so high here, despite these places being old, these are not new construction. They're raising the rent on 50, 60-year-old construction sometimes, right? Unless they're rent controlled. Even if they're rent controlled, somebody vacates, they're jacking it up to the next price. It's not okay. Right? And it's affecting everyone. It's affecting the cost of our burgers and our pastas and all these businesses, right? They have to pay not just, per square footage. They themselves are paying, some of these restaurants are paying like $6, $7 a square foot. And you need like roughly 2,000 square feet to run a good restaurant. You're talking $15,000 a month before you even pay an employee that you got to make in profit just to cover the rent. And then the employees got to make, your average employee's got to make $4,000 a month to survive here. And let's say you got 5 of them. So you're talking about, roughly $40,000 in profit that you got to make before you even turn a dime. And again, that has nothing to do with people vending on the street. That's not the problem here. The problem is the landlords. The problem is the cost to live in LA, and it's affecting all of us. And we need to have a serious discussion about that. And I've got some ideas on some ways that we can address it. One thing that I think that we should be instituting in Los Angeles, and this is kind of a radical idea, but I think we need to at least be talking about it, or some kind of solution, right? Because I don't like to just identify problems and then not consider solutions. Like I will always try to pitch at least a solution, get the wheels turning. Maybe my solution's not ideal, but at least it's something. I think that we should have a schedule on what the maximum allowable rent that you can charge on any property, whether that's commercial or residential, based on the age. So for instance, properties that are more than 50 years old, the maximum you could charge would be $2.50 a square foot, right? So if you got 1,000 square foot apartment, right, that's more than 50 years old, the maximum you should be able to charge on that is $2.50, it'd be $2,500 a month. And
so
I think commercial
rent control.
Exactly, commercial rent control. Yeah. And again, I think we need this because these landlords, it's not like their costs are going up. Their costs go up a little bit, but not, and they complain about, oh, woe is me, my blah, blah, blah. These properties are largely paid off. A lot of them are just collecting revenue every month, right? Just taking money out of the pockets of the business owner and by extension, the community, the customers, right? At $7,000 to $15,000 a month, because they happened to buy this thing in 1970 for like $250,000. And because of Prop 13, we never raised the taxes on it. So they're still paying 1% on a $250,000 property, just sucking money out of our economy every month and putting it into their private bank account somewhere. It's crazy. It's not okay. And it's a systemic problem. Again, I'm a systems engineer. I look at the system and I see where the problems are in the system. It's a systemic problem. And we need to start having serious conversations about this. And I'm already seeing it. They're warehousing properties, right? They're sitting on property. You see all around our city, there's these vacant storefronts. Why? Because the tax is so low. They bought the property in the 1990s for $450, for less than $1 million. It's now worth $6 million for commercial property. They're paying taxes on it like it's worth less than $1 million, right? 1%, which by the way is criminal. California is the only state, because of Prop 13, we charge 1% on commercial property taxes. Every other state in the country charges about 0.5% to 1% on residential, and usually 2 to 4% on commercial. And that makes sense, right? You don't need to charge mom and grandpa a high, property for their little single family home. They're just living, they're just trying to, live their life. But on for-profit properties, on properties that are designed to generate profit, the city and the municipalities needs to earn some money on those, 2 to 4, 5% for some of these. And we can't do it because Prop 13 is busted. And me as mayor of Los Angeles, I'm going to advocate to the people of our state and to the governor and to the California legislature that we need Proposition 13 commercial property tax reform immediately. Like, this is something that's hampering municipalities' ability to raise revenues. The reason we got to keep raising, sales tax and gas taxes and all these other regressive taxes that hurt the lowest earning people is because we can't raise commercial property taxes where we should be getting the money from. That's where the money is. That's where we should be pulling out of the piggy bank.
And that's a great answer. And it answers my question. So the byproduct of the next is, how do you keep Hollywood in California and Los Angeles?
Great question.
And then I see somebody else join, so maybe they want to ask a question.
Yeah, we got Samira Torshizi, I believe. I think she might have messaged us at some point. The name looks familiar. Great question. This is something I've been thinking a lot about. And in fact, I've been participating in the Save Hollywood movement. It's a new movement that's just started popping up with people who are in Hollywood to keep production and keep entertainment jobs here in LA. And actually, this is something that I've put together to Save Hollywood. I'm going to go ahead. I'll share you guys a little campaign flyer that I've made. And let me see if I can make this real quick. I want to open this up for you.
Can you send me your campaign flyer if I give you my email address?
Absolutely. I'd love to. Yeah.
So I can send it to, several people.
So this is a new campaign flyer specifically for Save Hollywood that I've created. And let me see here. Let me open this one up. Let me share this window. Boom, this one. So you should be able to see this now. This is the front side of my Save Hollywood flyer. And basically, this is the front side: low cost parking, tax credits, permit-free filming zones, increased tourism, protect our union workers, anti-AI measures, revitalize film and live theater, more jobs, more live entertainment productions. And then the back side of the flyer is this one, which, let me see here. Does this open? Let me see. Can I go next? All right, there we go. I think you guys should be able to see that now as well. This is the back side of the flyer. And Basically, this is what we're looking at. This is kind of my blueprint, at least as a starting place of where I see, and this is from my discovery of talking with people in Hollywood, because I'm a hands-on kind of guy. I don't just like create, I go out and I talk to people who are really being affected by these things. And I've noticed that one of the things I get is that it's too expensive to film here and the permit process takes too long. I want to create special zones throughout Los Angeles, like 5 to 7 of these areas that are permit-free filming zones. Hollywood Boulevard. We're going to close Hollywood Boulevard down to vehicular traffic. No more. It's going to be pedestrian only. And then Monday through Friday, it's free to film there. You just got to apply for a lottery application at least 30 days in advance. We'll give you a day with your little, permit and or your little reservation, and you can go there and film. And then this is cool because these permit-free filming zones, Hollywood Boulevard, Broadway District in downtown LA, which I want to revitalize Broadway. Broadway is an incredible street that's been just completely neglected. It's all run down, but it looks like Chicago. It looks like downtown New York. It's a great place to film. I was there literally like last Thursday and they were already doing some filming there. It's a great place. We need to be using these zones for filming, but making it accessible because that creates jobs. We don't need to be making money off this thing. We make money off of the, income taxes and just by having a strong economy. So Venice Beach, Hollywood Boulevard, some areas in Westchester, like kind of area, like a little further south, like, all those areas, I want to have like 6 or 7 zones throughout LA where as long as you apply 30 days in advance, you can get a permit-free, no cost filming reservation where you can just go there and film for the day. So that's number one, is make zones where, and then tourists are going to love this, right? Tourists are going to love this. They're going to come into town. They're going to go to Hollywood Boulevard. They're going to go to Broadway and they might be seeing live filmmaking. Right? Imagine what a draw that is. Come to LA and you might be in the next Spider-Man movie. You might be in the next, Ryan Gosling movie as an extra even. They can corral extras there. You can have a line, show up here at 2 p.m. to become an extra in this film. Right? So this is like creating filming zones throughout LA that empower our filmmakers and our producers. It's a no-brainer. Right? It doesn't cost us anything other than shutting down some streets, which are barely used anyway. Right now, they're all falling, and it creates a ton of economy and jobs. That's number one. Number two, live entertainment and tourism. Yeah, you know what? Some amount of production is going to leave LA. We can't change that, right? Like, computers and AI and all these things have made it so that you can edit film anywhere in the world and you can do different types of whatever. But live entertainment, that's something you can't outsource. You can't outsource and we have the best talent in LA. We have actors, writers, producers, lighting grips, all these incredible people in our city who are literally the best in the world at what they do. Let's start doing more live entertainment. People go to New York, Las Vegas, San Francisco for their live entertainment. Why don't they come to LA? Because City Hall has not been promoting it, hasn't been creating the pathways to make this a strong business venture. So I want to promote more live entertainment, bring in tourism. That's something that will never get outsourced. And it's something that also keeps all the same people in Hollywood regularly employed, which is great. Next one, revitalize Hollywood Boulevard and historic Broadway. I want these two places to become huge tourist destinations. I want those theaters working again. I want those theaters doing matinee shows for, the next Wicked rendition or whatever. And I want those tickets to be available, 40, 50, 60 bucks available to LA people. We're going to make sure the price is low. There's going to be some tax incentives for the theaters for keeping the prices low. So this draws more people to our city. People will come from Orange County, San Diego, San Francisco, Las Vegas, all around the world even, to come to Hollywood Boulevard and to come to Broadway to see our talent, our live performers, and we're going to revitalize those streets. We're going to have, clean them up, make new lighting, paint job. We're going to make sure that there's, that they're safe and that there's, police around to keep things secure and safe. And people are going to feel good being there until late at night, until 2 a.m. or whenever, right? We want these places to be, these zones to be the places where you go when you're in LA to really experience Los Angeles and Hollywood, because that's what people come to LA for, right? When people think LA, they think Hollywood, but we don't have a place where they can really go to really see that live in person in public. So we're going to revitalize Hollywood Boulevard, historic Broadway. And the last one is incentives for local production, tax incentives and grants for productions who keep most of the work here in LA and who hire union workers below the line. If you're doing that, we're going to have tax incentives for you. We're going to have grants available for you, 50,000, 100,000, because we know Mandalorian and Grogu's coming out soon, right? Mandalorian and Grogu, $160 million production, all filmed here in Southern California, in Los Angeles, because the state of California gave them a $20 million tax credit. It was about 12 or 13% of the budget. We gave them, we matched them about 12 or 13%, and they poured $160 million into our economy, feeding our below the line workers, all of our people living in Sherman Oaks and in the Valley and in Van Nuys and all of Burbank and everywhere around LA was the beneficiary because we created these tax incentives. And it doesn't cost us any, it makes us money, right? But we got to be thinking about it. So anyway, that's my plan for Save Hollywood and what I intend to do to keep film and entertainment and live entertainment, especially rebuild live entertainment here in Los Angeles.
Okay. I'm going to let somebody else ask a question.
Great.
If not, I'll ask
Samira,
another
thanks
question.
for joining. I don't know if you want to take a shot, but you're more than welcome.
Hi, I just dropped in to say hello, and I like that the discussions are going to keep going. I'm going to drop in and out, but I will see you guys on Thursday for another productive discussion.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Well, thank you so much for coming in and saying hi.
Okay. Police, yeah. I cannot not let you go away. By the way, is she running for mayor too?
No, she works for the city.
She's
which
doing
department?
a debate for us on Thursday.
Oh, she's doing a debate for you. Which department does she work for?
Is it the LA Bar Association?
Yeah,
something.
City, like association with, they're associated with city attorney's office.
So she's an attorney. Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, city attorney's office.
Yeah, it sounded familiar. So, well, that's nice she dropped on. So let's talk about your plan, because we all know that the police are, and this has come up several times, the police are at historic low levels. They are getting classes that are not representative of the finest police department in the country, and they're barely able to keep staffing levels. How would you beef up the police? I don't even want to get into the crime, because crime is always an issue. And how would you get more police on the streets?
Good question. This is not an easy one. And it is nuanced and complex. I'm going to do my best to kind of address it as best I can as I see it. Like I said, it is nuanced, it is complex. I feel strongly that I would want to work a little closer with LAPD and with the police chief to come up with more comprehensive plan. But I'll tell you where my ideas are, at least right now. And this is where I see it, is that we have kind of like 2 or 3 problems with LAPD. The first one that I see is that the first one that I see with LAPD, and I think this is, I want to start with this one. I think this one matters the most, truly. I think it's why we're not able to get police and why we're paying a premium for police. LAPD has a very bad relationship and reputation among the public, right? That's the fact of the matter. LAPD is not liked by the people of Los Angeles, by the people anywhere. They are really, truly a disliked organization. And not just by criminals, by like literally everyone. And I'm not sure that that's not deserved. I think it's deserved. Look, we have had historic corruption in our police departments, LAPD and the sheriffs. This has happened. We know this, right? Drugs, smuggling, unfair treatment, targeting people and civilians, hurting them physically hurting people beyond what's considered reasonable. It's not okay. It's not okay, because when you do that, you lose the trust of the public, right? And when you don't have public trust, why would the public ever want to join LAPD? Why would I ever want to associate with an organization that I know has such a bad reputation if I'm a good person? I wouldn't. And you know who will? People who get paid $150,000 to $200,000. That's what we have to pay. They're so disliked that we got to pay literally like close to CEO salaries to every cop, right? For a lot of these guys, because they're such a disliked, bad organization. That's the truth. That's really the truth, and we need to talk about that. And so first and foremost, And again, there's more to it, and we do need to rearrange our funding, and they need more support. And I am still sympathetic. A lot of LAPD are good cops. A lot of them are good cops, but the organization is toxic, right? The leadership needs to change. The culture, most importantly, the culture needs to change at LAPD. They need to start understanding that they are servants, just like all of us, just like me at City Hall. We are here to serve. It says on the side of the cars to protect and serve. I've seen it. It's on the side of the cars. And now I know the Supreme Court has told them that, oh, that only matters to property. Bullshit. When I'm mayor of LA, that applies to people and treating people with respect and dignity. Everybody, even the criminals. Even the criminals. I've seen it. It's possible. I've watched European law enforcement. European law enforcement gets spit at and gets whatever, and they're professional. And that's how LAPD should be. But instead, they think that they have the right. If somebody spits at them or whatever, they just start hitting them. And they'll beat the hell out of people. I have friends who've been blinded in their eyes because they think it's okay to shoot rubber bullets at people, at protesters. It's not okay. You're causing long-term damage, not just physically, but reputationally to your organization. Why do you think people don't want to work for LAPD? Why do you think we can't get cops? Why do you think we got to pay $150,000 to $200,000 a cop? That's the real issue. I think that's a serious issue. I think it's something that we need to have more discussion about, is the culture. And so I plan to reform culture at LAPD. I'm going to get in there. We're going to talk about, first of all, a uniform change. First and foremost, and I mean that. I know people think that's funny. It's not. LAPD looks like ninja cops. They literally look like they're out there trying to like intimidate you. And I asked them about this. I said, have you guys ever thought that like maybe like the way that you guys look is like kind of scary? Well, if we don't look this way, the criminals won't listen to us, is what they say. They think that the reason why the criminals even listen to them is because they look scary. I don't think that that's a justifiable reason to create a broad negative public perception. So we need to rehabilitate the public image of LAPD, and that starts by reforming the culture at LAPD. So that's number one. Number two, the budget. We have a budget that's very lopsided, and honestly, we're spending way too much money in overtime for LAPD officers. That's really the truth. People don't like to hear it, but it's true. You look at the average LAPD officer and they earn 70% to 120% of their base salary in overtime. So their base salary is 70, 80, 90K, and they're earning 60, 80, 100K in overtime. And they'll say like, oh, that's because we don't have enough. No, it's not. I mean, that's part of it, but that's one of the reasons why the budget's so shortfall, is because they're soaking it all up in overtime. Overtime costs time and a half, sometimes double per hour, right? It's not a good use. We need to limit overtime for LAPD. They're going to hate this. They're going to hate me for this. But I think that your overtime should be capped at 50%, maybe 60% of your base wage. So if you got a base wage of 100K, the maximum overtime you can get is $50,000 to $60,000 more. And I think that's reasonable, right? Because we need to save that money to hire regular wage cops. And not only that, but like, you know, it's LAPD, we have armed response. And I honestly think we have enough armed response in LA. We don't need more cops necessarily with guns.
So you believe what Nithya Raman believes in is more community-based policing?
Yes, I actually do support that. I like community-based. I like beat cops, where they're on foot, where they know the community, where they're assigned to that community on foot, and their job is literally to get to know the people, to understand the community, to have a relationship there. And that helps rehabilitate them. It also helps create improve the public side. It helps us understand who the problem makers are and where the trouble spots are. And I get it, y'all, you don't get to sit in your air-conditioned, SUV all day that's just burning gas, that's costing us, whatever. You got to actually get out and like walk a little. But look, I've seen some of these LAPD, they could lose a few pounds, right? Like they're not fit, they're not slim, they're sitting too much in their cars. And that's a problem too. And so like I said, I think it's there, and then once we've reformed that, then I think that we might be able to get public support to increase the police budget. And I think that honestly, there's room for that. I think there is room to increase the police budget. We are understaffed in terms of cops. And I think that per capita, we spend a little less. There is room, but it's not going to happen until the public feels good about it. So we got to start with rehabilitating public perception and fixing overtime, fixing the way that we're policing in the communities, what types of cops we're hiring. Eventually also it'd be good to have incentives for local officers. I would love for the city of LA to like own apartment buildings. Eventually, I think this is something that we should probably also do. Like just, we own some amount of like quality apartments and we can like lease those out to city employees. right? So you work for the city of LA, you might get a perk, like just like you work at a university, UCLA, you get university housing, and it's nice. I love university. Have you been there? It's nice. There should be LA City housing for LA City municipal employees, and that includes LAPD. And if you're a good cop and you live locally and you want to live in LA around where you're on patrol, we might have LA City housing for you, and it's nice. It's not like run down. It's desirable, right? 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathroom, modern apartment on the 18th, 20th floor, right? That you could raise a family in with a park nearby. And you're a cop, and when you walk out every day, you wear that badge and that uniform with pride, because you know that you're serving people. You know that you're part of a good organization, and I think that's, these are the kind of conversations we need to have. And I think, a lot of people won't have them because they're afraid to have them, and they know that LAPD is a strong union, and they are. I have respect for our police officers. I do. And most of our police officers are good. Truly, like 80% of them or more are good people. But there is some small amount of them that have bad ideas, bad culture. And unfortunately, those are the ones calling the shots.
Well, no different than many police departments within the United States. I don't know about Europe, but Chicago, New York is not different. I know your opponent, Nithya Raman, believes in not only community-based policing, but also, preventing people from actually becoming criminals, making sure kids are in after-school programs, and so that seems like you are. I take it you're not getting the police
rehabilitating people who've been through the penal correction system and getting them involved with at-risk youth. I love that, like especially people who've either been in the system or whatever. I love like as a sentence reduction or as a way to commute their sentences or get it removed from their record. You can go apply with LAPD to help at-risk youth and just like offer to like, hey guys, young kids, don't fall into the same path that I fell into. I love those kinds of programs. And again, like I said, a lot of it I think comes from cultural change, is by LAPD starting to, treat their role and their position as servant positions, not as authoritarian positions.
So let's start on as a byproduct of that. And I don't, World Cup 2026, which is 2 months from now, and then the Olympics 2028. Do you feel the city of Los Angeles, under the current mayor, is prepared for either of these events?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I think we all see it. We all live here. We all know the state of our city. We all know what's happening here. You think we're prepared for an influx of 200,000 to 1 million extra people over the course of a few, especially in 28 for the Olympics? Of course not. We are woefully underprepared. We should be way ahead of where we are right now in terms of infrastructure building, in terms of accommodations for hotels and housing. We're going to have all these Airbnbs. Landlords right now are warehousing property. They're literally purposefully not renting out vacant apartments in downtown and in other places so that they can charge $500, $700 a night when the Olympics are in town. And they know that they're going to get their money back. And it's really bad. It's really bad. We're not prepared. We're not prepared. So I'm in favor of like immediately implementing anti-warehousing measures. I think we should do a rent control, just rent freeze right now through the 28 Olympics. I think that the economy is bad enough that it justifies it. I don't think, like, my rent's still going up, and it's like it's not like my money's going up. My money's going down right now. Inflation's kicking our ass. And the fact that we're still allowing people, we do rent control all the time, and rent freezes when the economy is really tight, I think now justifies it. And we have a good reason with the Olympics coming up to prevent warehousing of vacant units. I think that's a justifiable reason to implement a rent freeze, especially on properties that are more than 20 years old. If your property is less than 20 years old, maybe not. Maybe we exempt newer properties because they got to still be able to recoup. And I don't mind newer properties being used, but like if you're going to be renting out a 50-year-old apartment in downtown LA for $750 a night, nah, screw you. That's not okay. That's predatory, right? That's gouging. And we don't stand for that. That's not okay. It hurts our economies. It hurts our people right now. So there's that. Transportation, I think, is the big one. Transportation is where I think we are woefully underprepared. Luckily, we just opened up the D line. That's going to help a little bit. It's not enough. It's not enough. Like, people are, if they think that we are going to be able to move people around this city, they are woefully mistaken. It is going to be gridlock hell in LA for all the people who live here. And I'm the only candidate right now who's proposing a solution for this. I'm literally the only candidate who's proposing a way that we can actually deal with this gridlock. And what I'm proposing for the city of Los Angeles is something that's actually used in lots of other cities around the world. Essentially it's a van pool shuttle service. And I'll kind of show you an idea of like what it looks like. but they use this in Mexico City. They use it in Paris, France. They use it in Istanbul, Turkey. I know because I've ridden it there, and it's great and it works. And this is what I'm coining as Metro X. So I'll show you guys where, like, kind of how I've envisioned this this project. But this is what we're looking at. This is my website. If you go to andreforla.com, you'll see my banner. You'll see my Fox 11 interview. You see my campaign flyer here, which you can click on, and that'll open if you want to download it.
I gave you my email address, so you can send it all to me.
I'll send it to you directly.
Yeah.
This is Metro X. Metro X is a van shuttle service that anybody in LA can use as an alternative or supplementary system to LA Metro and to the buses and to the subway. It's a van pool shuttle service. You can either rent one from the city or you can buy your own and then just pay the city like a medallion fee, which is the better option long term. And what we do is we allow owner operators, instead of driving for Uber or Lyft, you can drive a shuttle bus. And eventually we can electrify these, right? So you can get all the way across town. We expand the bus lanes on our busiest streets. This is Hollywood Boulevard, Sunset, La Cienega, Melrose, Venice, right? We create more shuttle bus lanes, essentially HOV public transit lanes, like bus lanes that are available both to public city buses as well as Metro X shuttles. And these are $4 to $7 owner operated. So you just, as the owner operator, you collect all the fares. You just pay the city a small fee either for the rental for your shuttle or for a medallion if you own your own shuttle. And you run these routes. And you can do 1,000 passengers a month. That's not a crazy amount. At $4 or $5 a passenger, you can be making $5-6 grand a month, creating public transit, keeping the money locally here in our economy, instead of driving for Uber or Lyft, which just feeds money into the pockets of San Francisco billionaires. You could be keeping that money here in LA. We could subsidize this even, and it's still cheaper. LA DOT right now runs the Dash bus system at a cost of $195 million per year and generates $5 million in revenue. LA DOT on the Dash and the bus system loses $190 million per year. They generate $5 million in revenue. It's negligible because it's a system that doesn't work. It doesn't serve anyone. This is Metro X. The way Metro X works is you'll see this is the map that I've kind of drawn out. And this is the map that you could use to get anywhere. And again, we will eventually expand this into the valley. This is just kind of a proof of concept. But the idea is that these run in tandem with the LA Metro, Metro line. So for instance, if you're in, wherever, if you're in, I don't know, somewhere around Koreatown, right? You want to get from the Wiltern over to, West Hollywood. You could literally just jump on one of these, jump on a shuttle, transfer over here at LACMA, and then you take LACMA right all the way up and around to Hollywood, and now you're on Hollywood Boulevard, right? And the reason why I drew it up this way is because I looked at the other systems that work, and it's a combination of circles, like loops, and radial lines. This is the most efficient way to create a public transit system. They use it in a lot of countries. They use it in Japan. They use it in Russia. They use it a little bit in Paris. Loops with radial lines. This is how you create effective coverage that also keeps the buses moving. So we've got these radial lines, like this yellow line that goes all the way across from, Santa Monica down to Silver Lake and back. We've got this purple loop that gets you around Glendale, Pasadena.
Where's the orange one? Is that from the airport?
Exactly. So the orange one here goes LAX, takes you all the way up and around to Hollywood. Boom. And all the way over. And then and then it comes back and it goes the other direction.
How do you get to SoFi?
Right? Yeah. So you could get on one shuttle.
Where's SoFi on the thing?
SoFi is further south. It's right over here. Where's SoFi? Somewhere over here. And again, this is just a proof of concept. We need to expand this.
I think you need to get somewhere close to SoFi.
For sure. I agree. And again, this is where I need more feedback.
And the Coliseum. While the Olympics is going to create tourism at the traditional places, I think people want to get to the events.
So I've got future on here. These are just my first phase 1, phase 2, and you can undo them to see that's LA Metro Rail. This is phase 2. So phase 1 would just be these lines, right? It's UCLA down to the airport, and then phase 2 adds a bunch of other lines. And then I've got future phases, South LA Loop. This is the one I think that goes through SoFi somewhere over here.
So, when you go to Europe, every city seems to have a hop-on, hop-off bus.
Yes.
So
yes.
Your idea is more like a hop-on, hop-off bus.
Yes.
We could have 500 hop-on, hop-off buses
Yes.
continually going around the city. Okay.
Yes. For $3 to $7.
Yeah.
It's great.
Or
It
or
works.
for the
And
whole
it costs
Olympics,
1/10 the cost of light
or
rail.
for the whole Olympics, you pay $150 for the 3 weeks.
Literally.
You know?
Literally. Cheaper than a car. Cheaper than Ubers and Lyfts.
See, I like your enthusiasm. That's really good ideas. I wasn't enamored with your police take.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, not everybody does not support the police. I support the police, but
I support the police. I do. I just feel like they need to rehabilitate their public image.
We're going to certainly need the police when we have the Olympics. I'll tell you that much right now. Because I'm definitely afraid of a terrorist attack. I don't think we're prepared for that because we have too many different events like archery at the Hanson Dam, or they're having something at Hanson Dam. A lot of areas are not secure locations, and you know, Paris did a wonderful job of making sure every event was in a secure location. They were very smart about that.
So I do know I've been like paying attention to
except for obviously the marathon,
and I do know that we are cooperating with federal authorities to also have additional support from federal police, Secret Service, and like other you know, FBI, etc. So I know that they're sending additional law enforcement to help with those kinds of like terror related scenarios. I do know that that's supposedly that's in the works from what I understand, but I agree with you. We do need more eyes on the ground. We need more law enforcement. I do support that, truly. I really do. It's just, you know, I just don't see a path forward doing it until we get public support for it, and the public just right now just doesn't support it.
Oh, I agree with you. I think we're going to get to December of 2027. I mean, we're going to go, oh shit. We needed the Olympics in 2032, not 2020, not 2028. But
again, you know, I'm prepared to get us as ready as we can be. Truly, like I will.
Well,
not sleep.
that's what the next mayor's going to do. The mayor's going to have 2 years to either, if it's Karen Bass, she has 2 years to, you know, make up for all the lacks she has.
I don't know. I think she's
or
proven
the next
she's not
mayor's
capable,
going to have
but
2 years to correct her 4 years of. I mean, we knew 8 years ago.
Actually, sorry to interrupt you. Once the new mayor gets sworn in December, they will have 14 months to have the city ready, because the LA 28 committee is expecting to hand over the city March 1st, 2028, because they want to do 3 months of test bed pilot run. So technically, the mayor will have only 14 months.
Yeah, and you gotta ask yourself, who do you think of these you know, who's up for the task? I'm 40. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I work like hell. I build things. I like get in there. I've struggled. I've you know, been through it, and I love my city. I would fight and die for LA. I promise you, if there's one candidate who would be willing to put everything on the line to get us ready for 28, it's me.
Okay, so I'd be remiss if I did not ask you this question.
Please.
The state continues to take local control away from the city, especially in their quest to build 30 million housing units. LA seems to be the target of the state when it comes to bills like SB 9 and SB 79. So my question, and I kind of already got the sense of where your answer is going to be on this, but I'm never clear. How do you believe the city should respond to a state that continues to take away its local authority, especially when it comes to housing and destroying our single family neighborhoods?
Very good question. So that's a great question, and I might ask you a clarifying question actually on that.
Okay, ask me anything.
So the first one is, what things are you worried about in terms of when you say our single family neighborhoods being destroyed? What do you not want to see?
No. And see, you don't know my background, but my background is a city planner for 33 years with the city. I'm not as NIMBY as you think I am. I'm more. I'm more of a MIMBY. I'm more of a maybe in my backyard.
Okay.
I have no problem with densifying single family neighborhoods as long as it's done respectfully of the
Yes.
existing.
Yes. Yes.
But again, I'm deeply concerned that the state has taken away all local control. The state basically runs this city now.
Yeah. And it's us. It's also other places. It's happening in Orange County. It's happened a little bit in San Francisco, right? And again, this is like, I understand why. The state of California gave all of our cities a long time to build housing, and we just weren't doing it. And we haven't been. We really haven't been, truly. Like, we've really not built meaningful amounts of housing anywhere in California, at least not outside the desert areas, but in our urban areas. We have not built meaningful increases in housing in like 30 years, since like the 90s. I remember when we started building a little more in the 80s and 90s, that's when people I knew were starting to keep buying or whatever. And by the 2000s, we stopped building. We did. And there's a reason for that, because there was private property interest, like when the supply is low. That's just the truth of the matter, right? Like when the supply is low, it makes your property values go up. People like that. But it hurts people. It hurts people like me who can't afford to own anything in this city. I have to rent. There's nothing that I can buy here that's like a reasonable purchase. I've looked at, there's maybe a townhouse down in like Westchester, maybe, but even those, and then they're difficult. You got to associate. So but I'm in agreement with you. This is where I think this is my position on it, is that I am very pro densification, like almost unlimited height restriction densification in transit corridors. These are the corridors that are along our biggest streets and boulevards, right? Venice Boulevard, Washington, La Cienega, anywhere that's a transit corridor. Again, places where I see those Metro X lines going for the shuttle van pool services. Build, baby, build. Build up, build up. We need more places. We need people young. But here's the thing, when we're building, we need to not just be building studios and one bedrooms for rent. There has to be that it's studios and one bedrooms for rent are killing our young people. It's literally killing us. And the private developers are making all the money. They're charging $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 for a studio or one bedroom, right? Instead of 2, 3 bedroom. Like, I can't even remember last time I saw any place that's being built with 3 or 4 bedrooms that wasn't like $6,000, $7,000 a month, right? And they're exorbitantly expensive. But here's the thing, young people, especially people under 40, need a place. If they're going to invest long-term in our city, if they're going to be here long-term, we want them to have a family. Families are good. And if people are going to have a family, they need to have housing that can support a family. That's 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms at a minimum. 3 bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, or a 4 bedroom, 3.5 bathroom, or 3 bathroom. This can support a 2-family household, right? So you got grandma and grandpa in one room, parents in the other, and then kids in an office, or 2 families even, mom and dad in one master, another mom and dad in the other, kids sharing the rooms, right? And I think that's a totally acceptable living situation for a lot of people. Like when I was growing up in the immigrant community, it was very common for families to share houses with each other, right? There's nothing wrong. And I think it's good. It actually provides social support. It gives you community. It means there's always an adult around, so that, you only need one adult to watch 4 kids. 5 kids. It's not that, I've done it myself. I watch my cousins, 4 or 5 of them at a time. And so I believe we need to be building the right kind of housing, not just 1 bedrooms and studios for rent that just suck money out of the pockets of young working people. It's predatory. And so I want us to build along the transit corridors. And so that's for transit corridors. That's more for young people who are first getting their upstart, whatever. Then for growing families, right? For people who are looking at maybe their second place, or their kids are getting a little older, and they're going to start going to school. They're going to have friends over on sleepovers, and they need, or their kids are starting to play soccer or whatever. We need to modestly densify our single family areas. I believe in 4x upzoning. 4x in our single family residential areas. And the way that I like to do this is I like to, what I would be preferable to, and this is actually another thing that I kind of came up with as an idea, but here's the thing, people are like, oh, they're going to ruin the neighborhood. Having 4 families where there was previously 1 doesn't ruin an area. They're still families, right? Yeah, maybe they're living in a little bit, like if they're nice places, if it's a modern accommodation and the place is nice, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think that it's good to have more families, because that creates more economy. It creates more younger people in the area, right? Because a lot of the people living in these areas, they're aging out. So there's no kids. So having 4 new families there, that means there's more kids around. That's great. We love when there's kids around. That brings safety and, you know, makes people want to invest more in the community. It helps support our local schools, right? We can also generate more tax revenue from that. And so I'm of the opinion that I think that it's actually a really important thing for us to have those. I have a kind of idea for something that is, I call it the Angel House. And I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find this. Where is Angel House? But basically the idea behind an Angel House is, well, I really want to find the diagram. Let's see if I can find it.
I like what you're saying. You know, I think the threat that people see is the loss of the single family neighborhoods comes, and I hate to say this, from the generations that grew up in the 50s and the 60s. I think if you do modest density like you're talking about, and the aging out people sell to the younger generations that want to buy the houses, I think the density is more acceptable to them to have a 4 unit next to them, or a 6 unit, or a 10 unit.
100%.
The problem people are scared of is when they have a 6-story, 50 unit apartment building next to their single family home, looking down on their backyard.
Exactly. And here's the thing, right? This is, you know, and like I said, I've lived overseas. I've lived in other countries, and it's actually very common to have multi-story residentials in like, you know, family oriented places. And I'll show you kind of like what this looks like. Here we go. I finally found it. And yeah, let me see if I can. Let me see here. Let me see if I can do this. That one, and then. All right, so this is something that they do. They do these in Switzerland.
You have a graphic, right?
Yeah, I have a graphic. I'm gonna go and put this up real quick right here.
Yeah. No, I like graphics.
Yeah, I think graphics are great. As I said,
graphics show that you were prepared for this. That's a good thing.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so this is called. Let's see. You should be able to see it here. This is an Angel House, right? And they have these in Europe. They're actually very common, and they're fantastic, right? They're modern. They're eco-friendly. They have central HVAC. On the ground floor, they have you know, a gym that everyone in the building has access to. They have a little workspace, an office space. Underneath, they have a garage, right? And then there's underground, there's parking for all. And each one of these floors is its own entire single family residence. So you don't share the floor. The elevator that's in the middle, it's a single post, like kind of like they do a single post engineering where the elevator is attached to the center post, services every floor. And then there's a, you know, a stairway on the outside to make sure that people can get out, you know, emergency exit on the stairway. And so the elevator opens directly into your living area, right? And
wow.
Yeah, you scan your key card, you walk in, you scan, and you bring your groceries up from the garage or from the front door. You open up, the elevator opens up, and there you go. And you share the elevator with the other people in your apartment. Who cares? It's just 4 other families in there, right? And then on the roof, there's other services. There's like on the roof, there'll be like a sauna and a barbecue area, right? And each one of these is a family. And these are 3 and 4 bedrooms with 2 to 3 bathrooms, 2.5 or 3.5 bathrooms, dual master setup. This is a nice place to live. It's preferable than one of these 1940s 2-bedroom, 1.5 baths or whatever that a lot of people buy. And then here's the real secret with the Angel House. And this is where it gets really cool and really interesting, is that the idea that I have for this is that specifically we would reserve the rear 40. So you know, in LA, we have these really long lots, right? They're really long. They're narrow and long. The front 60% would be the Angel House. And then the rear 40% would be a public park, right? And so the idea is that behind it, you see how there's a little pathway on the left? Everyone in the community has access to this public park space. And let me see. I think I've got one here I can show you. Yeah, let me see. I'm gonna hit that one. And then I got to stop sharing this one. I got to open this. Let's see. Go to my, screenshots. Open this one. Shoot, give me 1 second. Sorry, I thought I had these ready. My apologies. I'm trying to do a million things on this at one time. It's okay. Let me see. I got this. All right. So we got save this. Boom. Hit save. Save that to my desktop. We'll just put that on the desktop for now. Boom. Close that. Open that. Go back to my meeting. Share this. Share this one.
No, I like that one. That is actually cool.
Let me see.
Did you do that yourself?
Yeah, I made it myself. Like
I
said, I like to think about, what are the things that we can actually do.
Go to AI and do anything.
Yeah, basically. I mean, truly, and so here, this one should be coming up now. All right, there we go.
You got to spend a little more than the conventional AI, but it's worth it.
Exactly. And so the idea is, if you see on this diagram, the rear 40% is a public park area, right? That is accessible to everybody in the neighborhood. And there could be some trees back there. There could be a little picnic benches. The people who live in this angel house, you'll see up on the top, there's a sauna, there's a jacuzzi for the people who live there. Bring your friends over, bring the neighbors over, come share the space, share this cool new angel house with the community. The back is like a cool park. It's a little community park. And then the more that we build these, we can connect those parks. And so the idea is that the front we split the lot, 60% for residential, 40% rear for public park space. And then imagine you take a whole city block and you build angel houses. Then the entire center gets connected. You got these little mini central parks all around LA, accessible to the whole community, where everybody can bring their kids and play soccer and sit under a tree and walk their dogs. And we have more green space for everybody because people are living vertically. And they do this they do it in Europe. They do it in Switzerland. They do it in Germany. We should be doing it here. It's a good system. It works.
I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know where else they do it?
Where?
They do it in Santa Clarita and they do it in Valencia.
So you got it. You get it. This is the future. They're eco-friendly.
They do it in Simi Valley.
Yeah. Yeah, 200 years this will last. You can build one of these will last for 200 years, and then eventually once there's a lot of these, and now the next ones we make them 6 or 7 stories, right? And then we do 7 stories, on the newer ones, and then we do 8 or 9, and eventually there's they're between 7 and 11 stories, but they're all families, and they all enjoy this big little central park they're all looking right out their rear master bedroom into their little central park. It's an incredible way to live. And we can build this, and we could be one of the few cities in the world that has this kind of living experience for people. The city could even help build these, and we could give first preference to city workers. Oh, you want to work for LAPD? If you're local and you want to live in one of these, we can hook you up with one of these. You know what I'm saying? Then we have an asset, something that we're building that actually incentivizes people to want to live and work in LA for the city and for our people. And again, like I said, I'm an engineer by trade. So I think about what can we do? What can we build?
Clearly, your answers to all my questions are engineer-based.
Yes.
And are very rational and they come from somebody who has a deep connection with, understanding geometric views of things. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It's kind of the way I see things. The world isn't black and white. Everything is shades of gray.
Yeah.
I like, you answered all of my questions to a large degree. And I was very happy. And I have other questions if you want to stay. But I don't know how much more you have.
No, this is great. I love it because honestly, I'm recording this and I'll probably clip some of this up and I'll put it on my TikTok or on my Instagram. So.
Oh, good. I'm not. I like most, your Olympic answer was great. The police one, I'm not, I don't have to agree with you 100%. So yeah. That's fine.
I don't even think that we're that far away from each other. I just see the bigger issue as being the cultural problem. Like I do recognize that we're short-staffed.
We have 25 years difference between our age. And I certainly grew up in a different generation, but that doesn't mean that we have dissimilar ideas. I think that the wonderful thing about life is, you should be always open to new ideas.
Totally agree. I love a good idea. In fact, that's where I kind of see my role in life is like, I want to be somebody who just helps promote good ideas. That's, you know, and if I can amplify those good ideas, and I hear, and again, a lot of my ideas, they're not mine. Like all the, like the Angel House and the Metro X shuttles and the, you know, all these things, they're things that I've seen other people do. I'm just the amplifier, you know?
Yeah, but you know what's funny about this, and it's very interesting, and this goes to another question, and probably a question that will allow you to summarize everything you've said. And I'm just talking with you, but and here, let me let you see my face now. I'm
Sure.
sorry. Not that there were a bunch of people on where it's distracting, and my ceiling fan was distracting, like in another one I was on. But you know, it's very interesting that every candidate that I've said, every person I've talked to and done, even the conventional ones, even the entrenched ones like Karen Bass and Nithya Raman, you know, everybody says, okay, if they get to mayor, and I'm talking about you and everybody else that isn't Nithya Raman or Karen Bass, who are the current elected people. They go, well, I mean, once they get to mayor, they're not going to know what to do. And my answer is always, Karen Bass really hasn't known what to do in her 4 years. Her predecessor didn't do much in 4 years or in 8 years. His predecessor, who only lasted 4 years, didn't do much in 4 years. The bar isn't very high for mayors in the city of Los Angeles.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's correct.
So that gives you your closing to say, look, you know, I understand that I'm not elected, I'm not entrenched and all that. That's probably a good thing in your eyes, but you know, summarize everything we've talked about, because I really would like to, you know.
So look, you know, I think it's clear to all of us that like right now in LA, our city is broken. It's literally broken. It's, you know, it's decaying. It's falling apart at the seams. And it's very clear that the tried and true establishment politician route has not been serving us. It hasn't, right? I think that one of the reasons why those people struggle is because they don't have experience building teams, building organizations, and building culture and infrastructure, right? You have to have experience building these things. We need to build right now. We do not need to administer. We need to build. And we need people who understand how to build and whose job it is to build, to fix things. I'm a builder. I'm an engineer. I build things. I build a lot of really fantastic tools and systems. And not only that, I built teams, like high performance teams, people who are maybe only okay when I got them, and I made them great because I know how to invest in people. That's also one of my talents, is that I can take a group of people who's maybe only okay, and I can make them great because I invest in them. That's what I'm good at. I'm good at investing into people, right? Because I understand that I'm only one person. I can't do everything myself. It's not possible. I need people. But when you invest in people, and you know how to invest in people, and you know how to align them, and how to build a culture that makes them proud and gets them excited to come to work, to build things that are great, you don't have to tell them to do anything. They'll just do it, and they'll be great at it. And I think that's the problem, right? Is the people we keep electing, they're bureaucrats, they're politicians, they're lawyers. You ever worked for a lawyer? It's miserable, absolutely miserable. They don't know how to organize people. They know how to argue the law, and they get paid $500 an hour to do it, maybe more. I make $200 an hour.
You know, if you're elected to mayor, you will literally have 5 weeks to assemble a team.
I've already got great people.
Okay,
I
that's
would
great.
love
That
for you.
that
Yeah,
was
that's the thing is when you vote for Andre, you don't just get Andre, you get Team Andre. My team has put on an incredibly competitive mayoral campaign. We are doing phenomenally well. People know me. We have the best website. We have the best communications infrastructure. I built us an AI tool that manages all of our people and all of our tasks. I built us, intake forms for our volunteers and placement and a heat map that shows us where all of our volunteers are and where our area captains are. I made our flyers. I made our, you know what I'm saying? And again, but I've also brought people in. I've got people who have like decades of experience working with nonprofits and organizing people, on helping the homeless, on helping animal shelters. I've got people on my team that are WGA, SAG-AFTRA, that understand the entertainment industry, that are
good.
20-year veterans. I've got
so here's the question, because it's so dramatic to say, what would you do as mayor day one?
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to give you day one or week one, but month one.
Month one.
What would you do in the first month as mayor? What would be your first priorities?
Yeah, good question. And that's not to say that things wouldn't change, because again, I'm always open to the idea that like I'm going to learn more as things go, and as maybe. But from what I understand right now, and from where I see myself positioning in our campaign, first things first, we got to get moving on dormitory housing for the homeless. We are going to have people coming into our city for the World Cup, for the Olympics. We can't have as many people as we have right now sleeping on the streets in the mental state that they're in. That has to be, it's a state of emergency. We know it. It has to be a high priority. I'm going to start identifying buildings that are eligible for purchase and retrofitment into dormitories, because we got to get the ball moving on that quick. It's going to take us a while to do it. I'm going to try to see if we can contact mayors and other people in Japan, right? They're excellent builders. I want to get their expertise over here immediately. How can we build? How can we retrofit these? What are the fastest ways to build single room or multi-room dormitory occupancy with medical services on the ground floor? We got to move on that, because it's going to take a while. So that's number one, is we identify which buildings we're going to start, looking to acquire, and how we're going to retrofit them. We're going to bring in all the engineers, Japanese people, anybody we need, maybe even some people from Europe where they've been successful. And we're going to work on that, get that ball moving first and foremost, because it's going to take a while, right? Things that take a while, you got to get those going first. Metro Express, we're going to start laying the groundwork for the Metro Express system. That's also going to take a little while to ramp up. So we're going to do that as well. But then after that, save Hollywood. That's where I'm going to be, because all these people are going to be coming into our city. We got to put on a show, and not just put on a show. We got to keep our people working and employed and healthy financially. And this is money that's going to be coming into our city. People are coming from all around the world to LA, and they're bringing with them potentially tens of thousands of dollars per person that they are potentially willing to dump into our city, into our economies, into our people who live and work here on the daily. We have to be prepared to capture that money, and we're not. Our city's ugly, and it's hard to get around. It's impossible to get anywhere. So even if you start one place, you don't want to go to Venice Beach because it's too long to get there, so you don't spend your money there. People come to our city prepared to spend $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, and they spend $2,000, because we need to build. Again, I want to build our tourism zones, our filming zones. Downtown LA, we're going to revitalize downtown LA, especially around City Hall. We're going to make it beautiful, and we're going to light up the streets, and we're going to, clean it up, power wash it all, paint it up, make sure that we're, and again, creating dormitory housing is a part of that, because we got to get people off the streets there. And that's where we're going to focus. We're going to focus in our tourist areas, Venice Beach, downtown LA, Hollywood Boulevard. We're going to work like hell to revitalize those, so that when people come to LA and other places, identify our economic zones, that we can be capturing that money as it comes in to support our people here.
And people have heard me say this, and I'll tell you why I think Karen Bass has not been a successful mayor, has not even been an average mayor, is the fact that she came from the legislative branch, and legislative branches don't really know how to do executive. But my big concern with her was the inability to deal with the entrenched bureaucracy that was in place.
Yes.
And she basically let the entrenched bureaucracy stay in place.
Yeah.
And a lot of those entrenched departments, and I'm a big critical person of the planning department per se, is the fact that you continue to have these general managers and these deputy general managers and deputy directors, and that are part of an entrenched system. And month one, they are the hard ones to fight.
Yeah.
You can talk about that you're going to deal with Hollywood, but there's a director of the Hollywood Film Commission that's going to fight you. And you can say you are going to fix the homeless, but there's a director of the housing department. So you got to be prepared.
So
to
you're right. And actually,
week one, interview every general manager and then get rid of the ones that you that don't share your philosophy.
100%. And actually, I was going to get into that. Is that
step two? Like step two? I'm sure you would, but yes.
Reorganize City Hall. That's a goal. I'm going to, organizations, big companies have paid me, like companies like Fashion Nova, a couple other like big, retailers, Macy's I've helped a little bit with their org structures. They pay me to look at their org chart, to look at their people, because what happens, and this happened at City Hall, you have 6 people across 4 different departments, all doing the same job. It's crazy. We got to unify them, cut them down, move people around, get people doing different things, remove people who are roadblocks. Assad al-Najjar, who's here in this call, he knows this stuff. I will go to people like him, people who I trust, people who I know have the right vision and the right heart, and I'm going to ask for their counsel because that's what I'm good at. I'm also good. One of the reasons why I'm an effective, person in an executive role is because I count on other people, other experts, and I'm good at listening to them and identifying people who really know what they're talking about.
Well, that's you got to be prepared for that because when you think about it, I believe 90% of the general managers that are there right now were appointed in the Garcetti era.
Yeah.
Karen Bass has not gotten rid of, I believe, a single general manager except for ones who retired who are left for another job.
Yeah.
And of course, the police chief she appointed, but she fired the fire chief. That was the one she fired, and
because
I didn't even get into that.
To City Hall.
Yeah, that was the one general manager she got rid of, the fire chief.
Called in a bomb threat to City Hall from his own cell phone because he said he was so overworked and stressed out by working for Karen Bass. That's how bad it is to work for her, that her own people call in bomb threats to City Hall.
That is a fundamental reason that Ms. Bass has so many challengers in this election.
Yeah.
So many young challengers like you, because you and Nithya share the same age, and I'm not so sure you and Nithya don't share the same political points of view. I mean, you seem very aligned with her.
Here's the thing about Nithya. Nithya, you don't know where she stands. She changes her positions all the time. It's like Nithya is a politician. It's very clear. Like she goes one way and then goes the next, depending on what. And she doesn't have like her own value. She adopts whatever is beneficial to her as she sees it at the time. I really see this from her, and I've seen her. I've seen it in her politics. But here's the truth about Nithya: she doesn't have to work in city council. Her family's got tons of money. You know what I mean? Like they're wealthy independently.
You knew that? You know that?
Yeah, of course. Her husband.
No, I'm surprised. Yeah. I know that.
Yeah.
She comes from a very wealthy family in Massachusetts. Their parents are tech. They own tech companies and college professors. No, she and her husband obviously has made tons of dough on his thing. So you're right.
Yeah, and again, I see this is the problem that I think with Nithya is that she's doing government. It seems to me as a vanity project. She likes saying that she likes that. I'll be honest with you. I don't really even want to be mayor that bad. You know what I mean? Like I understand that it's a crap job and it's hard and stressful and I will kill myself over it. But I love my city so much that I will put myself through hell if it means that I can make a meaningful change, and I know that I can. I know that.
Well, I think politics is a crap job in general, but
yeah.
And Andrej, that's why I like you very much.
Yeah.
I see the passion in you that I don't see in any of the managers I have, and that's what I really always admire about you.
Yeah, well, and I admire it too. You're a 40-year-old man, but you come across as a 25-year-old man.
Thank you. I try to keep it young. I try to keep the energy good. I think it matters. And here's the other thing.
I mean, there's no way you're 40 years old, but that's okay.
Yeah, I feel that from you too, Thomas. Truly, I can see you've got youthful energy.
Here, I'll let you see me now.
Yeah, and look, and I think this is also why the mayor has to be somebody who's going to bring good energy, because we need our city united. It's a cultural role. We know that we have a weak mayor system here, but the mayor does have strong cultural power if they use it right. And so I told people when I'm mayor of Los Angeles, every second Sunday, right here in front of the steps of City Hall, right in front of Gloria Molina Park, I'm going to do a State of the City address. It's going to go from 10 p.m. to 7 p.m. And we're going to bring out all of the community organizers, all of the people from the different various community and unions that are working around our city. And I'm going to be there on the ground with them, talking to them, saying hi, asking them what their problems are. How can I serve you right now? And then for 40 minutes, I'm going to give an address in front of City Hall telling the public what's working and what's not. And if there are certain bureaucrats or city managers who are creating a problem, I'm going to call them out by name. And I'm going to say, hey guys, this city council person is preventing us from doing this action. Start calling them. Even if you're not in their district, give them a call. Let them know how you think. You know what I'm saying? And again,
well, but you're right in the sense that the mayor is in the charter is a weak mayor. The charter reform's happening where the mayor could get more power, but the mayor does appoint commissions and boards and general managers. And let's be honest, the city council can make all the laws in the world, but you need building and safety to enforce and planning to enforce the land use laws. You need the police to execute. So you need these departments to be, so that's where your power is. Commissions, airport commission, harbor commission. So don't underestimate the power of the mayor.
I won't.
Okay.
All that is to say is that I tend to use that cultural power. I think that Mayor Bass has not used it. She's slept on it because she's not the kind of person who knows how to use it. But it's a powerful tool if you can, and that's what I intend to use it. Yes.
She has not used the power of her office in terms of public awareness as she should. And he sounds like you will. But with that said, I got to go.
Yeah, no, this has been great. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
out
And I got to see two candidates tonight, so I'm very happy about that.
Yes, definitely. And like I said, there's some really great
and send me your
candidates.
material, all your material, so I can pass it on to everybody I know. Okay.
Will do. Awesome.
Thank you very much for
showing up. Thank you everyone for considering me. And please
Bye,
vote for me on June 2nd.
Nice evening.
Learn more at Andre4LA.com. That's ANDREJ. There's a silent J at the end of my name. ANDREJ number 4 LA.com. And if you like me, please vote for me on June 2nd.
Okay. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you, Andre, and thank you.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate it. Have a great night. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.